Hi everyone! I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing, and commenting. I really appreciate the support. In this one, I wanted to speak to you about an important topic that I've been thinking about a lot because I am at home right now, as I've told you guys, and I am surrounded by my family all day long, which in one way is great because I love them and they're great and they do take care of me. My mom cooks amazing food for us, and I'm grateful to have a space to stay while this pandemic is going on. But I also noticed that there are things that I have habits, I think I should say, that I've kind of established living on my own for so long that suddenly I'm not able to have those habits anymore. One of the things that I used to do a lot, and this is something that's a negative thing, I'm not saying this is something that everyone should do or that I should do, but this is something that I used to do a lot, and this is actually this pandemic and this quarantine or lockdowns kind of teaching me a lot about this tendency of mine. One of the things I used to do a lot is I would spend time perhaps with friends or family, and then I would go back home and I would be full of these emotions, these statements, these retorts that I did not actually use when I was with the individual. So, for example, they might have said something to me that I found insulting or I found degrading, or I didn't like the way they said it to me, whatever it was, right? So they said something to me and I was like, no, I don't like it. Instead of saying it out loud, being like, all right, you know what, I really didn't like when you said this to me. I think it's wrong. And perhaps maybe I was like that 2 years ago, but I'm not like that anymore. And I'd really like you to reformulate your idea about me or something like that, whatever I might say. Instead of saying it out loud and being like, okay, this is what I feel, and I'm sorry, you shouldn't say that to me. Instead of doing that, I just fill that into, or I put that into my emotion bucket, my heart, basically. Put it into my heart or into myself, and I fill myself with it. And then something else might happen, and they might say something else. And again, instead of saying it out loud and saying, no, I don't think that's right, I think this is the way it is, or it might not be something about me, it might just be something about something else. Maybe they make a racist comment or a sexist comment, or they make a joke about something, and I'm like, that's not right, I don't think that's right. Or something like whatever it might be. It doesn't really have to be particularly about me, but it irks me, or it's something that I think is wrong and I should speak up upon it. Normally, I try to keep the harmony, and I've spoken about this many times before that, we like to keep the harmony. But this person might say something, and we kind of keep on putting all of those things, all of those hurts, all of those emotions, the negative feelings, all of that stuff into our emotion bucket. We keep on pouring it into ourselves, and we fill ourselves, right? Now, what happens with introverts or with us in general when we fill our emotion bucket is that we're able to go back home and we're able to deal with it. So we'll journal about it, we'll, punch our pillow a bit, I'm guessing, or maybe, some people probably do that, or we'll, journal about it, mostly is the best way to do it, or we'll meditate on it, or we'll do a little bit of yoga, or we'll go for a run, and we'll kind of let go of that emotion bucket a little bit. We'll kind of empty it out using that strategy. We won't talk to the person who caused us to fill our emotion bucket, but we'll empty it out using these techniques, these self-care techniques. So we'll take a hot bath, or we'll get a massage, or things like that. Hopefully you're doing this to remove stuff from your bucket. And so our bucket's empty again. We go to sleep, we feel good, we wake up, our bucket is empty, we feel great, especially if we live by ourselves, we don't have to kind of deal with anything. And then we go out again, and then we deal with people again, and our emotion bucket gets full again, and then what happens? We empty it out at home. Now, unfortunately, what happens sometimes is that we are filling our emotion bucket so much because we have a couple of different meetings with 4 different people or 5 different people, and we're here and there and everywhere. And our emotion bucket fills so much that it overflows. And instead of actually being able to go home and recuperate, it's a point where it happens in the middle of one of our meetings, and this person says something, and our emotion bucket is full, and it overflows, and we scream, or we cry, or we show some extreme emotion where we are not able to control it anymore. Our emotion bucket is full, and it needs to overflow, and it's going to overflow because the person is in front of us, it's going to overflow at them. Now, happens a lot of times is that usually it happens in front of our partner. So if we are dating someone or with our family, if we are living with someone, we usually kind of overflow upon them. So we start screaming at them, yelling at them, throwing a tantrum, being violent, or whatever it might be, however you get rid of that bucket, the emotions in your bucket, right? Unfortunately, as I said, what happens is that we kind of do it to people that we love. Instead of actually telling the person that said something wrong to you, no, this is not right. This is not right. Please don't say that to me anymore. Instead of saying that to whoever it might be, your friend, your boss, your acquaintance, the barista behind the counter, the cashier, things like that. Instead of saying that to them, we fill our emotion bucket and we keep our mouth shut and we hold on to it. And then eventually we blow over or blow up or explode in front of someone who didn't deserve it, who doesn't deserve it, who didn't deserve it, who never deserved it, but who has to deal with your emotion bucket overflow or your explosions because you don't actually do it properly in the right time at the right person. Now, this is something that's really important because as we are in quarantine right now in lockdown, this is probably happening a lot to you because your emotion bucket is filling up and you're not able to perhaps say it in the right time because you're not used to it. This is not something that is common to you or it's not a habit with you. You don't talk to the people, you don't reply back right away. You just hold on to it. You let your emotion bucket fill and then you go back home at night or you go into your room at night and then you process it, you journal about it, you cry about it, whatever it might be. And then the next morning it begins all over again. Sometimes, though, what happens, as I said, is that we explode upon people that don't deserve it. So maybe you had a really bad call with a friend, or right now you're probably dealing with many virtual calls where you're talking to all these people or messaging with a lot of people, and they're putting a lot of negative emotions upon you. There's a lot of negative emotions in the atmosphere, and you're probably holding on to that as well. And so what happens is that you hold on to all this stuff and then you explode upon your mother or you explode upon your sister or you explode upon your partner or your children who especially don't deserve it, right? The reason I do this video is because I've done this so many times in the past. I used to do this all the time to my family, of course. I'm better at it, I think, a little bit now, but I used to do this a lot to my partner. Anyone who I dated, I would do this to them all the time. And of course, it was a terrible thing to do because not only did it break our trust and break our relationship, it also made it so that I didn't learn how to talk to the person that deserves it rather than talking to random people who don't deserve it, right? So instead of actually having that conversation right away and saying, no, this is not right, I don't like it, and not letting your emotion bucket fill up, I didn't know how to do that. I'm learning now, but I didn't know how to do that. And I want to do this video for all those people, younger people who are perhaps learning right now or just growing up right now. And hopefully you can kind of learn how not to let your emotion bucket fill up like that. Don't let yourself get to a point where you explode. Actually talk to people about it. If they do something you don't like, just pipe up and speak up about it so that you don't fill yourself up and you don't explode in front of people who don't deserve it. A lot of times that's why people tell you, a lot of arguments or discussions or things like that are not about you. It's about them. They're dealing with something on their own and there's no need for you to take it personally. But if it happens over and over again, it's hard not to take it personally, right? And so that's what happens to a lot of my relationships is that I would keep on exploding upon them and then obviously they took it personally and obviously our relationships fell apart. Had nothing to do with them. It was due to something completely different, but I didn't know how to express myself properly. And I didn't express myself, as I said, with the right person. And so, of course, I exploded upon the wrong person, the person who didn't deserve it. And thus, I ruined my relationships in so many different ways. Terrible, I know. But now, as I said, now I'm learning. And also, I wanted to do this video. So hopefully a couple of you guys will actually like watch it and maybe learn from it and maybe not do it. If only a few more people could kind of learn from this video and actually learn not to do it, that would be perfect. That's exactly what I want from this. If you have any questions about this, or if you actually do this yourself and you have stories or examples to share with us, or strategies on how not to do it, or how to unfill your bucket, or how not to fill your bucket, I'd love to hear all of that. I think it's an important topic for us to talk about because especially it's very easy for us to do this. And it's harder for us to have real conversations about things. And so hopefully you'll actually learn from it and you'll message me and tell me stories from your life. If you have any questions, as I said, comment below and I shall do a follow-up video. Again, thank you so much for watching, for being on my channel. I really do appreciate it. And I shall see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.